standing in the light of the Holy Spirit. Wodja, bonjour. My name is Tom Gower. Je m'appelle Tom Gower. It's with great pleasure and joy to be able to consult and speak to everyone such as it is. I have a wonderful and shocking announcement to share with you. It's been an amazing journey from the time I was born until I was reunited with my Cree mother and family, right up to the present. When I was a teenager, I often daydreamed of what it would be like visiting my Cree grandparents. And when I finally did, it was very similar to what I dreamed about. I was lucky enough to get to know them a little bit. Then I learned about my family traditions. I wanted to make an impression on them. And then my grandmother noticed some of my amazing hunting techniques, and I guess she couldn't hold back how she felt any longer. She said to the family, "Will someone show Gabriel how to hunt properly?" It got intense. My learning curve went into overdrive. But after some adjustments, I managed to impress my grandmother after I returned from trapping with my first beaver for a Christmas dinner. Those are some of the best memories I'll ever have. Then I got to go to college and university. There I learned about Cree society as a whole, how they managed to preserve their culture with their values such as consultation and sharing. I dove in and learned about how they put themselves in the most favorable conditions to survive and flourish. But it took work for them, and independent initiative, often by individuals, investigation into the overall food supply of an area that had to meet the right conditions for a family's survival. When I hunted, I got a taste of my family's traditions for survival. When I went to school, I learned about Cree society's traditions for survival, and both of them are very similar. Basic rules to ensure survival. That was it. Then I realized the Cree studied the future, and that's been something of a benefit for them. So that's what I did. I touched upon and studied humanity, the Crees, and my own future. It took me a while, but I learned the skills that I thought I might need in the future that I saw for myself. I could have given up years ago, but I followed a silent voice inside me. I often wondered what made my family keep going. I read in a report a distant relative of mine, Sandy Rednose. The first day he arrived with his family from a winter season in the bush to the summer meeting place for many families, he dropped dead. And then, without batting an eye, his family took up where he left off. Did they follow a voice? Or was it plain dignity or self-respect? Whatever it was, I think it must have been the same feeling I felt when I wanted to give up, but didn't. I believe all humanity in life thinks similar in that way. I believe now it was the silent voice of my soul. It's been an amazing journey, but it's not over. Time is relative. When I was young, trouble at home got me into circumstances that were not favorable for my survival. If I had stayed on the same course, my future would have been very bleak. I give credit to my foster mother, Dorothy, and her family, who triggered something inside me. She helped me realize I had gifts inside me that could make my life better, like I had my own mind and willpower. And then one day, something just hit me like a ton of bricks. The next day, I woke up as if from a dream. I decided to change my life for the better. I was 15. And thank goodness for that, because a year later I got my driver's license. I drove around with my friends. Got to meet girls. Something hit me though, because I remember feeling one way one day, and then the next day I was a completely different person. and that did it. It wasn't perfect, moving back to my parents. It was more favorable. Life became better for me after that. I made better choices. I had woken up to something. But I lived in a strange reality or perspective. It was like I saw only me and heard only me. And then I was 24 years old. One night, it must have been during a full moon, my conscience turned on. It wasn't like before, though. When I woke up one day as if from a dream, that time my reality or perspective changed while I was awake in just a matter of moments. At that moment, there was only one thing I thought of to do, and that was go outside and howl at the moon. So that's what I did. I howled at the moon. And I woke up the neighbors. After that, my life became more vibrant. I saw people and heard people other than just myself. I listened to them, got to know them. It was very nice. I woke up a few times after that, but those 2 moments stand out as the most important turning points in my life. In 2011, I started to wake up to the world. I started to notice the signs of the times. I started to pay attention to politics and world events. I was bothered a lot by what I saw. The news reports, television, and music had changed. But that silent voice never stopped, never changed. And then in 2015, I had a dream. The dream warned me I had an X amount of time to do what I needed to do. And that was it again. I didn't know exactly what I needed to do, but I had an idea. So I got to working on art pieces and some writing. Then one day the television was on for a moment, and then I heard Barack Obama had made some terrible deal with the Iranians, or so people thought. And for some reason, that triggers something inside me. From then on, I worked feverishly on whatever I thought I needed to do. Eventually, I woke up to the fact that the United States 2016 election, the unexpected results, would help change a reality. I completely updated myself on the current politics and world events. In December 2017, I started to wake up to my identity. The silent voice was screaming at me. It was my soul. For the first time in my life, I consciously followed the silent voice and the strong urge to investigate who I was. I lost a lot of sleep after that. Then on April 22nd, 2018, in my own way, I communicated to the spiritual universe I had woken up to my identity. I still wasn't sure though, so I investigated more. At first, I thought I was going crazy, and I was very confused at what to do. But the universe was patient. But I was familiar with laws and the way cultures communicated and done business with each other. And then I started with the premise, as long as the conditions were favorable enough to survive, I could do it. Just like how my family had done in the past. Just take up where my family left off. So I approached our discussion in a different way. I took a down-to-earth approach. That helped me to simplify things, like define our roles. The spiritual universe consulted with me first, which is a Cree value. So the Cree values I had learned helped me to carry on a down-to-earth conversation with the spiritual universe. It was real simple after that. If the universe wanted to harvest some of my energy, I wanted to get compensated for it. Like a lifetime of freshly cooked rabbit takeouts would be nice, with dumplings. Agula, agula. So that was the basis for a conversation between myself and the universe. Some down-to-earth values. I give a lot of credit to my parents, though. They went through a lot, and eventually the conditions became favorable for us to pick up where we left off, in some respect. I have a lot of fond memories with my parents. And, just like Dorothy, I give a lot of credit to the spiritual universe, God the universe. They saved my life at least twice, and I believe they assisted to make the conditions favorable for my survival. But it wasn't easy. I was born into chaos, but it needed to be done that way. I found out later on it was part of my soul journey. Near the end of what the universe calls a cycle, like a bull, because I'm Taurus, I had 11 swords stuck in me, and I got up again, ready to take another sword. I made it, though. But it was time for a change. I needed to rethink on what I had done in the past to survive. Rejoice, the Lord is nearby. My true identity, one of the witnesses of Revelation 11. Servant of God the universe, helper of Jesus, lampstand and olive tree. Jesus' astrology follows a path similar to Prometheus of myth. My life and astrology follow a path similar to Chiron the centaur of myth. As above, so below. Hello, everyone. Are conditions favorable enough for Earth's survival? I believe that's a question only Earth can answer. However, I can make a contribution to answering that question. Again, it is a pleasure to consult and speak to you all such as it is, because reality has changed. I've come down on a mission to help close the gate on a long cycle of Earth and humanity and open a new one. For example, one of my basic goals is to help make the ground sacred for what was and what will be. This message today is part of that goal, is a sacred send-off of what was. A long cycle of Earth is close to ending, and I can no longer keep it a secret and live a double life. I must live in the light of who I am, and I thank the universe for allowing me to be their vessel. My identity also has a deep spiritual connection to the Hopi tradition, which means I'm a starseed. I'm also here to support we're not alone. And that's another thing we're celebrating. Just think for a moment and believe we're not the only ones. That opens up a lot of questions, but it also answers a lot of questions, I believe. Hopi traditions have a deep connection to the spiritual universe that go back thousands of years. They knew about Jesus long before the Christians ever set foot on North America. They are not Christian, yet they wait for him along with the Christians. I can only say so much at the moment, but for what I just said, I hope that gives comfort to people. You made it too. Pat yourselves on the back, celebrate, do something. I've done a lot of work already, but more work needs to be done. Know this, all of you are loved. Take care, God bless. Aguda Wajia. Ciao.